Cowabunga, dude! The heroes in a half shell are here. Magic returns to the plane of New York City with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, featuring rad new cards like Bebop and Rocksteady, Cool but Rude, and Howard the Duck. This new standard legal set is sure to change Magic the Gathering forever. Magic the Gathering's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is roughly the size of Magic the Gathering's Spider-Man, 190 cards, the vast majority of which are brand new designs. And don't worry, there are at least as many turtles in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as there were spiders in Spider-Man. After all, there's a turtle in every pack. Surprisingly, even though this set has a lot of commanders, there actually aren't a ton of great cards for Commander, as in cards for the Commander Dex 99. That speaks volumes because despite it being a standard set, it feels explicitly like a Commander set, except that many of the cards are bad. Looking over the list, I found that many of these cards are either overcosted, low impact, or otherwise just not too exciting, for Commander anyway. Nevertheless, there are still a few good cards for your Commander 99, and this video will cover them. Now, I will be discussing a few legends on this list, but as with any Best for the 99 video that I make, I'll only be evaluating those cards for their utility in the Commander 99. So all that being said, oh, what is it now?
Me cave prof. Me use best quality rocks to make best quality electronic products for Micro Center at best price. Like this Lenovo Legion gaming laptop. One for me, one to sell at Micro Center for $879.99. All computers made of rocks.
I can't believe I'm gonna ask this, but what does a caveman need a laptop for?
Cave prof need laptop for do cave taxes. Cave taxes very complex due to multiple income streams.
Wait, you have multiple income streams?
Yes, Cave prof successful haiku poet. Micro Center big, full 31 location. Trade mammoth for stuff.
That's actually not bad.
Me prolific. Cave prof also regional sales leader. 5 times back to back, earn many pelts. Your computer slow? AMD Ryzen processor just $69.99. Microchips and processors just rocks.
All right, but I already have a lot of processors, Cave Prof. Is there anything else Micro Center might offer me?
Last winter, cold night sky cover camp like thick pelt. Cave prof see many eyes in shadows. Micro Center customer transfixed by great selection, taken by saber-tooths. Oh no!
Oh my god.
Make Cave prof think on fragility of cave people life. But then Cave prof just buy Kodiak plasma torch, only $39.99 at Micro Center. Now, Sabertooth no longer eat Micro Center customers. Except that first one. He gone. Micro Center also have good deals Magic the Gathering products. No markups, only good deals.
Wait, you play Magic the Gathering?
Cave prof play since Ice Age. Necropotence, good.
I started in Ice Age too, which means I'm just as old as... Let's get back to the video. First up, we have a stack of honorable mentions. 6 turtle team-ups featuring Leo, Raph, Dawn, and Mikey fighting alongside each other in pairs of 2. Turtles fighting for each other. I like to call them Turtles for Turtles, or T for T for short. Jesse wrote that line, and I have a strong feeling it's a reference to something, but I have no idea what. Though these 6 designs are all fairly simple, they fit nicely into many decks within their color pairs. Dawn and Raph, Hard Science, for instance, is a once per turn cost reducer for Izzet artifact decks that costs 1 generic and 2 hybrid Izzet mana. In the mid-game, it shouldn't be hard to cast a free Portal to Phyrexia in your second main phase, or even an Omniscience that just costs triple blue. Dawn and Leo, Problem Solvers, is a sweet enabler for an Azurius Blink deck. A 4/6 with Vigilance for 5 mana that can blink up 2 different permanents if you have both a creature and an artifact to exile. With the Panharmonicon effect in play, Dawn and Leo can grant you as many as 4 ETB triggers when the permanents come back. Mikey and Leo, Chaos and Order, a 2/2 for 2 hybrid Selesnya mana. Is it still Selesnya if we're doing Ninja Turtles? I don't know. But what I do know is it draws you a card once per turn when you add a counter to a creature you control. If you have ways to add counters on your opponent's turn, this turtle duo can draw you as many as 4 cards in a turn cycle. All you need is a way to add counters to creatures in Selesnya colors. Raph and Leo are a punishing pair of potent fighters. For 1 generic and a pair of hybrid Boros mana, this 2/4 Mutant Ninja Turtle card grants you an additional combat step when they attack, and even untaps 2 creatures on top of that. Paired with Vigilance creatures, these 2 brothers can provide 2 massive swings of attackers, and they can do this every single turn. Raph and Mikey, Troublemakers, costs a ton of mana to cast. They make up for that steep investment right away. 7/7 trampling haste damage that drops a creature directly into play from the top of your deck the moment they swing. In a deck full of big creatures, a nice hit off these 2 will immediately make up for the mana you spent getting them on the field. What's more, in a Gruul deck, there are plenty of ways to get these guys into play without spending 7 mana. Sneak Attack, anyone? Perhaps the strongest card of the 6 is Mikey and Dawn. Party Planners, a warded 3/3 for 2 generic and 2 Simic mana. These rambunctious brothers let you play lands and cast mutant, ninja, and turtle spells off the top of the library. Creatures cast this way also enter with an additional +1/+1 counter. If you have a lot of mutants, ninjas, and turtles in your deck, then Mikey and Dawn will provide you phenomenal value over the course of the game. The mutant aspect of this card is likely the most useful given how much Simic loves mutations. But after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles drops, there will be a lot more of all 3 creature types in Commander. Now, on to the list itself. First up, we have a 3-mana rock, a category of card that's often too slow for Commander these days, but this one has enough additional benefit to make up for its cost. Weathermaker is a 3-mana artifact with a landfall ability. Whenever a land enters, put a charge counter on this artifact. Weathermaker can tap to add a mana of any color, or you can tap it and remove 2 charge counters to add 2 colorless mana. You can also tap and remove 3 charge counters from the artifact to point a lightning bolt at anything. Basically, any deck could run Weathermaker. It's colorless after all, and every deck could make use of the colored mana it provides. Also, every deck runs lands, meaning you'll sometimes have access to that extra boost of colorless mana. When you don't need it for mana, the lightning bolt mode is a nice alternative use for this card as well. But there are a few places where Weathermaker is better suited. In landfall decks, Weathermaker is less a mana rock and more a reputable lightning bolt. These decks don't really need an artifact that taps for mana, but they won't mind getting the ability to zap down a creature basically every turn. The best home for Weathermaker is in proliferate strategies. Kylo, Apogee Mind, for instance, can consistently keep charge counters on Weathermaker. In those decks, I expect the 2 colorless mana to be the most useful mode on Weathermaker, as they tend to run a lot of colorless artifacts. Still, the Lightning Bolt mode is excellent upside for these decks, especially later in the game. Paired with an untap effect like a Manifold Key or a Tezzeret Cruel Captain, you can even zap multiple things in a turn, or one big thing multiple times. Proliferate and Landfall are the 2 strategies most primed to make up for the very real drawback on Weathermaker, namely that the best modes on the card require a significant charge counter investment. Now, if it were easier to add charge counters to Weathermaker, I'd certainly have it higher on the list. But the utility it does provide to the 2 archetypes it's most useful for is great enough that it makes the list anyway. Next up, we have an actual Ninja Turtle, and this time there's only one of them. Now, while there are tons of turtles in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's a turtle in every pack, remember, this next card is really interesting for Commander. Coming in at number 4, we have Donatello, Mutant Mechanic. Donatello is a blue 3/5 for 4 mana that taps to add 3 +1/+1 counters to an artifact you control, turning it into a 0/0 robot if it's not already a creature. He also moves counters from artifacts that get sent to the graveyard to other artifacts or creatures you control. Many players may want to build Donatello as a commander, and I support them, but in my opinion, this card is much better suited to your 99. This is a mono blue card that wants you to sacrifice artifacts, and red and black are the colors best suited for that purpose. Therefore, as a role player in a 99, Donatello will really shine. Turning your non-creature artifacts into robots is a great ability, especially if you have a way to untap him and do it a few times a turn. But what I really like about Donatello is that second ability. Essentially, this effect is like the Ozolith, a $50 card that's been begging for more similar effects to complement it. Donatello is more restrictive than the Ozolith, of course, since he can't move counters from non-artifact creatures. But the Ozolith only moves counters once per turn, whereas Donatello does it immediately whenever the artifact with counters died. There's therefore plenty of damage he can do in artifact decks. Paired with an instant speed sack outlet, Donatello can move counters around your board essentially at will. Blocking when you have a Donatello and a sack outlet in play will be a nightmare for your opponents, because as long as a single creature gets through, you're guaranteed to deal damage, likely a lot. The best card to pair with Donatello is Arcbound Ravager, which provides both a sack outlet and functionally doubles the counters you're generating due to the Ravager's modular ability. Marketback Walker is an awesome card to sacrifice with Donatello in play, since you get to draw cards equal to its +1/+1 counters without losing the power and toughness it added to your board. Lastly, you can use Mycosynth Lattice or Encroaching Mycosynth to turn any creature in play into an artifact. This removes any restriction Donatello previously had on the creature you could move counters off of when they died. Donatello is at its best in a pretty specific subset of artifact decks, those that have lots of +1/+1 counters in play and places to move them to. But in such a strategy, Donatello will be phenomenal. Moving along, we have one of the more exciting cards on the list, a card that will have you asking your opponents, "Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?" Oh, I love cards like that. Get ready for number 3, best for the 99 from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's Shark Shredder, Killer Clone. Shark Shredder is a 4/4 first striking Shark Octopus Ninja, oh my god, and it's a legendary, and it's 2 generic and 2 black mana. For 3 and 2 black, you can also sneak in Shark Shredder, the new variation of ninjutsu. Unlike ninjutsu, you can only sneak during the declare blocker's step, and the result of paying the cost is that you cast the card, rather than simply putting the creature into play. Otherwise, it works the same. Return an unblocked attacker to your hand during the combat step. When Shark Shredder deals combat damage to an opponent, put up to 1 target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It enters tapped and attacking that player. This is legitimately one of the cooler designs in the set. They managed to put a Shark Octopus in a color pair other than Simic. OMG. Okay, that's not really why Shark Shredder is such a cool design, nor is it precisely that a ninja that sneaks into play and reanimates an opponent's creature is awesome, though of course it is. But that's what Ink Eye's Servant of Oni already did. No, the thing that's awesome about Shark Shredder is his First Strike ability. That allows the creature you bring back to enter tapped and attacking the player you hit. You connect with Shark Shredder during First Strike damage, and then the creature you animate has a normal strike damage step to get its own poke in. Sneak means Shark Shredder is virtually guaranteed to get at least 1 hit in, just like Ink Eyes. From there, he's basically a must-kill for your opponents, so it isn't that hard to send him back into combat for another bite at the apple. Give him unblockable with Key to the City, or simply clear the way with removal to get him past blockers. Even without forcing him through combat, First Strike on its own makes him a very punishing creature to block. Shark Shredder is going to be a great card in just about any ninja deck, but really, the ninja aspect of the card is just a bonus. This is, after all, a generically powerful black card that requires very little help to make great. All he needs is a creature that's attacking and an opponent who didn't block. So what are the top 2 best new cards for the 99 from Ninja Turtles? Well, next up, we have a big angry turtle reminiscent of Magic's Big Angry God. Coming in at number 2, we have Slash, Reptile Rampager, a 7/5 mutant berserker turtle for 3 generic and 2 red mana. He makes a 2/2 mutant when he attacks, and he's got an alliance ability. Whenever another creature you control enters, deal 2 damage to each opponent. If that alliance ability looks familiar, that's because it's the same ETB effect as Perforos, God of the Forge, one of the most popular mono-red commanders. The popularity of Perforos is precisely the reason Slash is on this list of best of the 99 cards rather than best commanders. He really doesn't offer you as much as a commander as Perforos does. He costs an extra red mana and doesn't have that pump ability. He's also not indestructible. But in the 99 of a Perforos deck, Slash is phenomenal. The deal 2 trigger is a fantastic one to double up on, because all of a sudden you only need 10 creatures to turn your opponents into a burning pile of ash. If you can attack with Slash right away using, some kind of haste granting effect, you're a mono-red deck, you figure it out, well then you'll get an additional damage trigger immediately. Slash is an excellent card not just for Perforos, but for any high voltage Punisher deck. In an O'Hare deck, you don't even need Perforos in play for each alliance trigger to deal 4 damage. He's also a great card outside of dedicated Punisher strategies. For instance, in a token deck like Ginny Fey, you'll be doling out shocks to the face by the dozen. Decks built around multiple combats will appreciate both his big stat line and his token generation. That stat line is a big part of Slash's appeal regardless of the home you put him in. 7 power for 5 mana is just a lot. Paired with Warstorm's Surge, for instance, he can dome any target for 7 the moment he enters play. 7 power is also the necessary threshold for Slash to trigger the biggest mode of Sarkhan's Unsealing. If you equip him with Infantry Shield, then all of a sudden the 1 token he makes on attack becomes 8, doming your opponents for 16 each combat step. Slash mostly does one thing: deal damage, but he's extremely good at that task, and he's in the perfect color for that skill set. I expect Slash to quickly become one of the most ubiquitous commander cards from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But what is the number 1 pick from this set for your Commander 99? Well, it's another reanimation effect, this time on a big saga, but this one gets top billing because it offers much more than a single reanimation. What is it? Well, the number 1 best card for the 99 from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the Cloning of Shredder, 3-chapter saga for 4 generic and 2 black mana. The first chapter exiles a creature card from your graveyard and creates a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary and it is a mutant in addition to its other types. The next 2 chapters each create another token that's a copy of a card exiled with this saga, except it isn't legendary and it is a mutant in addition to its other types. The Cloning of Shredder is fantastic, even if all it does is make 3 copies of a big creature in your yard. That big creature can be anything, even a legend. It's not hard to get a creature big enough that the 6 mana you spent on this saga is actually a discount relative to the effect you get, and that's before you tick the saga up to make another copy of it. This is an excellent card for a Tom Bombadil deck, or even just an enchantment for your Anakthea Hand of Erebos deck, both of which will tend to be happy to simply put this into play and get all 3 chapters normally. But there are 2 ways to get even more out of the Cloning of Shredder than it offers at face value. The first is lore counter manipulation. Adding and removing counters on this saga with something like a Hex Parasite offers you additional copies of the card you've exiled. It can even give you multiple different creatures exiled under the saga. If you roll back the lore counters to chapter 1, you exile a new creature and copy it. Then the later chapters will let you choose which of the creatures you've exiled and want to copy. If you can keep this thing in play indefinitely, you'll essentially have an on-demand big creature generator that you can access anytime you add or remove one of its counters. The other way to abuse the Cloning of Shredder is with token synergies. Token doublers, for instance, mean each chapter of this saga makes 2 copies of the big creature you exiled. There are also many ways to copy existing tokens in Commander, such as with the Populate mechanic. This element of the card won't be relevant in every deck you run the Cloning of Shredder in, mind you, because these effects tend to be in white and green. But if you're in Orzhov or Golgari, this is the kind of synergy that turns this card from great to busted. And for all those reasons, and even a few more, that is why this is our number 1 pick for the 99. And there you have it, my radical pick picks for the best Ninja Turtle cards for your Commander decks. But now I want to hear from you. Have I left any Ninja Turtle cards off that you think would be great in the 99? Do you agree with my assessment about the overall quality of the cards in this set, at least as far as Commander is concerned, or do you think I'm just being a bit too harsh? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've ever wanted to see the one and only Reed Duke go up against Andrea Mengucci, Rebel Lily, and myself in the pre-modern format, you can check out that video here. But if Commander is all you crave, well, I got to sit down with none other than Mark Rosewater and shuffle up and play. Both those videos listed in this video's description. What's up? It's Summoner's Rift and Play. We're playing Riftbound again, and we've got the returning champion from our last Riftbound episode here today. But who else has joined us?
Well, I'm glad, Prof, you picked from the bottom of the barrel for people for this episode.
Krim, go ahead. Now, this is the greatest card text ever. If I die alone.
All right, you don't know me.
I do, actually. We work together very frequently.
We know this, right? We see this, right? I just want to. I've started a showdown. Does anybody have anything?
Yeah, just.
Oh wow. Okay.
With zero open rooms.
Yeah. Tell me how you did that.